Okay, sweet. Silo, not a traditional meditation app. In fact, from what I understand, you guys have positioned this as anti-wellness, wellness. So I'm interested to hear about that. Max is the co-founder here of a meditation app that is unlike others. And I think the thing that really stood out to me the most about this is that you're actually not looking for off the shelf, hey, here's listen to this, feel better, or leaving it to chance for people to pick some random title of something or some picture to be like their meditation. You're saying, okay, enough with that. What's going on? And you actually use intelligence in your system to say, tell us a little bit about what's going on. People take 1-2 minutes, they do that, and then once you have that information, you're able to actually customize a meditation. So Max, a little bit about the company, how you got into it, and by all means tell us a bit more.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Caleb, for having me. Also, great intro. I will try to simplify it even more with my own words. Yeah, Silo. It's basically a combination of journaling and personalized meditation, right? Both journaling and meditation are incredible ways for self improvement, to work on yourself, to sleep better, have better focus time. The list of health benefits is that long. And with nowadays technology, it just makes sense to personalize meditations, right? Why should it be generic while it can just be written for you? Um, I think important to mention is this journaling reflection chat we have that basically feeds into the personalized meditations. We build it together with three psychologists, so it's kind of also a mental treatment for you to get rid of things that just bother you, that keep you awake at night. But on good days, it's also a gratitude practice because gratitude practice is also important. So we tackle both sides here. And then, yeah, each meditation is built for you. You can also decide how long you want it to be, depending on the day, which variety it is. Do you want to be more focused on sleeping, more on motivation, etc.? Yeah, we're quite flexible and use today's technology.
Very cool. So how I'm curious to know how you arrived at this. Everybody kind of has a different story about how they get into, solving the problems that they do. Was this something
Yeah,
that was on your radar?
yes. Thanks for asking that question. I mean, with three co-founders, two of us three have a financial background, and we needed to work heavy hours, like the 80, 90-hour weeks. And for me, I we never wanted to found something in finance because it was just not appealing to us. So we thought about, okay, let's build something that helped us in our life and try to make a cool product for the people. And my personal story behind is pretty simple. So I had two major issues in my life that I needed to fix. I mean, the one is simple, right? I always had problems falling asleep because I could rarely turn my head off. I always was lying there for 2 hours, spinning the same thoughts around every day. And for me, journaling helped here, like just simply writing it down, and then your brain knows, okay, it's written down now. I don't need to think about it anymore, and it helps you sleeping. But also on the gratitude side, as I said before, man, it's so simple, but just sometimes writing down what you're grateful for in your life, it just makes the day just better, as simple as it is. So this is, let's say, my personal part of journaling. The meditation part is a different story. So I was lucky to early on in my career to climb the career ladder quite fast. And in my mid 20s, I was in the management with some bankers who were 20 years older than me. And sometimes, I don't know if you were in those situations, Caleb, but sometimes it gets political. And I hated politics in companies like a lot because I always thought, come on, we work on the same goal. It's a win win if we all just collaborate, but that's a bit naive and not how it works. So I often get quite frustrated heavily on that. And I, let's say, meditation was the way for me to to learn a bit getting a negative emotion and reacting on it, right? And that sounds pretty simple, but in practice it's highly relevant because someone says something that absolutely annoys you, and in just of reacting emotionally, because then you already lost in the politics game if you show emotions. So controlling yourself, keeping a clear mind in those situations, because I mean, Caleb, I don't know if you can agree on that, but if your brain starts hammering negative emotions and you're just angry, you don't think straight anymore, right? Also, that's what a boxer learns first. You don't box angry, you box with a calm mind, then you're a good boxer. And in management politics, unfortunately, it's the same. So this is how the meditation angle came to me. So yeah, so summing up, that's a bit my personal story here.
Very cool. So I'm curious to know with archetypes, if you have certain like customer profiles to say, someone who's in a high pressure environment. I think, you mentioned you, other co-founders dealing in finance, long work hours, sleep being one component, the stress, the political dynamics, politics at work. Have you found certain archetypes for the app? And then within that, what does user behavior look like in an ideal sense? Like, are they using it 3 times a day? Is this something that the app is nudging them at certain points?
Yeah, great question. To be perfectly honest, I mean we're still growing, and we try to appeal mostly the performance oriented people. To be perfectly honest with you, so far the biggest persona we have is quite, I would say, kind of young parents, people between 30 and 40 who just have a lot on the plate. And our app gets downloaded the most between 12 and 4 a.m. So people who bother falling asleep download our app the most. In terms of archetypes, we have some performance oriented people in our customer base, and it's a hard way to, also to be perfectly honest here, it's a hard way to convince them, because the whole meditation topic has a historically esoteric touch, and many people, especially in this performance environments, just shake their head and think, yeah, come on, leave me alone with this esoteric BS. So we tackle it heavily from a scientific perspective, because the science base is pretty strong over the last 20, 30 years, the good effects that journaling and meditation has on you. The biggest problem here is, and I think performance oriented people struggle with this, if you don't see an outcome right away, you're not very likely to stick with it. So we have put a lot of effort in a little growth journey inside our app to show the users, hey, if you stick with it for 2, 4, 6 weeks, this is the benefits you will see over time, because it's just a matter of practice. And yeah, this is something we honestly are still working on, but we use the science base to convince those people. I hope I could answer your
Hmm.
question.
Do you, is there a component either in the current model or like a roadmap where you're using biometric data live throughout the day? So it's coming from a smartwatch or smart glasses or something that's sensing either brainwave activity or, heart rate, etc. And then it's prompting it to say, to take some
Absolutely.
action.
Absolutely, I should have added that in the previous question already. So we have an Apple Watch integration, and this is basically the best indicator here, because even someone, if you do your first meditation and you sit down for 15 minutes, I would say 99 of 100 people will be like, yeah, okay, what happened now? I don't see any effect. I mean, you're calmer and a bit more relaxed, of course, and it's just good for your brain to do that. But your vitals will show it right away. I mean, on the one hand, it's the pulse and the heart rate variability. This is something that you can really actively work on from the very first meditation on. And I have also a personal story for this, because people underestimate that a lot. Coming back to my finance time, we once had a company doctor in the company who was checking vitals, also the biometrical age, for example. And the doctor, she took my pulse, and I had a surprisingly high pulse. I think it was 80 or 90 or something. And she asked me if I was mad about something. And I had one of those meetings again, it was more than an hour ago when I was angry about something. But at the moment when I was with the doctor, I didn't feel it at all anymore. She was also from the Stuttgart area, so we had a good talk. I had a great time talking with her. I was in a super good mood, while my pulse was still pumping from this meeting when I was bothered about. And also regarding the whole longevity topic, this is something people underestimate quite a lot. The connection between our mind and our body and how long we carry actually those effects that are on our mind. So yeah, the wearable integration is a great way to showcase that right away. So far we only have Apple Watch, but we on the roadmap is to have most of the wearables integrated with the Silo app.
Yeah, I know it's super important for certainly startups or early stage companies to really hone product market fit to solve, one problem really well before expanding out. But naturally, I think, I'm curious, and I'm sure the product development team is, curious as to how this integrates in so many other things, because you're dealing with a product like you said, the cause upstream for stress is coming from these other variables, right? So work, being one of them. But I'm curious to know if there are integrations where the app, not just with meditation, might make suggestions based on other things, either behavior that would lead to better sleep, or nutrition, or consumption of things that might impact these things, or even things like in downtime, in the same way that it might suggest a meditation, would it suggest a form of entertainment? And this is just, I guess curious thinking, but if there are things like the whole nutrition world, lifestyle world, how active you are, as well as entertainment, the kind of things that you're watching, viewing, if they're leading to stress and anxiety versus leading to calm or peace, and if there is this intelligence layer where someone is kind of using this tool as a reflection journaling tool, some of the insights into what they're wanting to do with their life might naturally appear there and could well be matched to say, hey, actually, if you're wanting to head that direction, here's some things to consider.
Absolutely great point. And this is also, I need to give you a bigger answer on that. So what we have so far is it's detecting your pulse already. I mean, of course not when you do sport, right? Because then clearly you have a high pulse. But if your app doesn't, or your wearable doesn't get that you are doing sport and you have a high pulse, it's giving you a notification. Hey, check your pulse. Maybe think about taking some deep breaths and having a few minutes to calm down and reset your body and your nerve system. This is already one thing we do have. But I mean, a great point that you point. Also, what you consume on social media, on video. I think there's one great mistake I also used to do in the past. I mean, so I always loved like UFC and like it's a bit more than 10 years ago already, but I also did Kung Fu and stuff like this. So I'm following UFC. But watching a UFC video at 10 a.m. in the night in your bed on your phone is literally the worst thing you can do, because there's nothing pushing you more up than watching this before sleeping. But to the other thing you said, so during my time in investment banking, we had a quite deep dive on the whole health tech industry, and many experts were talking about that we are right now in the decade of personalized health, personalized medication as well. And I think we all agree on that our body is quite a complex thing, one of the most complex things on earth, combined with our brain, I would say. And there are so many influences on our body. We need to measure the whole picture, and sleep, sport, what you consume. It's just a huge data collection that we need on collecting. And yeah, we're not at the end of that journey yet, but on the longer roadmap, this would be absolutely great.
How has the response been from corporate? Like I guess I'm thinking of two different customer avatars. One is consumers that are up late at night, they're looking for an app, they find it. How has response been from a decision maker at a corporate level that might, look for an engagement to make this, your app available to all of their staff as part of their wellness like package or benefits?
Yeah, this is a good question. It depends highly on the country, to be perfectly honest. So we're located here in Berlin, Germany. The whole DACH area, the German-speaking area, we are a bit under economical pressure, and most companies, I mean, since our offer is based in the whole benefit section, employee benefits, and this is currently a position that companies rather reduce than further invest in, even though it's ironically right. If you invest in that, the output of the people, the productivity, the focus time, it just gets better. So from an economical standpoint, it's a clear case. Also, to give you another example, we have a lot of health insurances in Germany, and we measure a lot of data why people are off from work, and mental health sick days is, since the first half year of 2026, the biggest reason why people are away from work. It grew again by 9% from last year, and the cause is there, but I'm telling you, it's still a hard sell in our area. While in the US, it's way easier. If you find a champion in a company who already has a contact point with meditation or the whole field, it's an easier sell, right? Because also it's not too costly, our product, but then it goes way easier. The US mindset is way easier than the European one. But here people want to cut costs, they want to cut employees, they want to cut on every position. So yeah, if the decision maker just hears from the HR people, hey, we want to invest in a meditation app, there is no further dialogue. So it's a hard sell right now, but US goes well.
Okay.
Work in
So
progress.
yeah, I feel like, anytime you're dealing with user behavior, you have it's this paradox, right? You either work with current behavior, right? You integrate, and then you're going with the flow of things. But a lot of the time what people are looking for is they're looking for a product or service to help them change an aspect of their life, which often requires changing their behavior. So you're kind of have this opportunity or the need to shift user behavior, and so does that happen at the personal level? Does it happen at the corporate level? From what I understand, your competitors are like Calm and Headspace, which would be these massive companies. You guys took a strict position on anti-wellness, which I'm really curious about. If there was some corner of the market where you've sort of branded yourself as being anti-wellness, maybe was it a psychological thing that certain users feel like they're not looking for a wellness, product, and that's the niche you're wanting to serve?
I mean, anti-wellness is a big word that I also don't want to be. I mean, in the end, wellness, fitness, that's the whole sector we operate in, and I wouldn't be so harsh, but the big point we want to make with those statements is people who put meditation and journaling directly in the esoteric corner. We want them to attract them from a different perspective, and that's why we say, hey, it's also a performance tool. It's something where you can just improve yourself. Yeah, it comes a bit more from that direction. But anyone who does already yoga or is already in that sector, we are so happy to also provide them our services. But we want to expand it to the bigger market. And one point here is also, it sounds pretty simple and a bit, yeah, cliche, but we have the opinion, all of us founders, if anyone on this planet would meditate and would put a bit more mindfulness and journaling and control over negative emotions, we highly believe the world would be a better place. And the more people, even top politicians, etc., who would meditate and do that, I think that would be a great movement. And yeah, This is also our thinking.
Interesting. I feel like is your full last name the last word Christ? Is that right? Did I get that right in the research?
No. My name is Max, and my family name is Reck, Reck.
Right. I'm wondering where that was pulled up in the research. Or
Yeah.
was it?
No, I wouldn't. No, I'm a really simple man from Stuttgart. I don't want. That's
Interesting.
a bit much.
Okay. And is it Noah that's a co-founder with you? Is that right?
Exactly.
And it must have been Noah's name that popped it up for me, just thinking of a biblical name. But I'm curious on the biblical
Yeah.
side of things because I know some people that will look for apps to encourage them with prayer. So there's meditation, but with prayer, if the same thing would apply, if there's a niche audience that would look where you have this conversation, this initial, hey, where are things at, and that it would reflect back with other passages of scripture or other thought-provoking aspects of things to be reflecting on in prayer or scriptures to consider.
Mhm.
Just a thought.
Yep. I mean, let's let. I mean, religion is a super important thing, but prayer and what do you do when you pray? You take your time. You take stillness. You are grateful for your life, and
Hmm. I
we
can
go in
see
the
it here in
same
the notes.
direction.
Mark Alexander Christ, sum up co-founder, invested in your pre-seed. That's the person. That's where it was in the notes. So it was that name, that piece of the name that I think had stood out to me. But I got one more
Also,
question.
I gotta be correct here. I think this is an hallucination of any LLM because we don't have a sum up co-founder investing in Silo. We did the
Okay.
pre-seed, that's all correct, but this good man unfortunately is not part of our pre-seed.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'll take a peek into that. I know with these, especially when you give the agent, the ability to do some initial due diligence on a first pass, it does need to be double
I
checked. So,
I really know what you're talking about, and I mean, in the end, our reflection journaling chat we use also in LLM, not our own yet. We still work together with Claude so far, but this is one of our main tasks here, right? The model cannot hallucinate, so it's not only a Claude integration. We have like 12 agents sitting on our reflection chat for many different reasons. For example, if you text in our chat, hey, I want to harm myself, there's an emergency agent. So we spent quite 8 months on that chat with psychologists, with a lot of tech security, etc. Data security is also super important. Luckily, our CTO made already a few tech due diligences, also with KPMG, so we are well stacked here. Also important for the users to know. But it's a quite important topic actually. I'm glad we tackle it.
hmm. Well, I have one final question for you, and I typically ask, everybody I chat with, which is, what is the one thing that you feel like your team needs the most to grow right now? That could be a bottleneck, that could be a lever specifically, could be investment, could be exposure, could be um, you know could be having influential influencers sort of discover the product. If you could put your finger on one thing.
Ah, also a great question. I mean, we would be super happy for an uh, quite experienced B2C investor because my co-founders and me, yes, we the whole, let's say, marketing, social media topic, etc. We grew into it, and I think now we start doing quite well here. But at one point, we want to also properly roll the whole thing out globally, and for this, we need two things. The one thing is definitely cash, because as you mentioned before, the big guys who are in this space since more than 10 years, they have a lot of cash, and it's hard to become competitive here in marketing budgets. And also it's really something that needs to be learned to do that professionally, but someone who already did this rodeo a few times would be amazing to find a big partner who could help us in the seed round. We are starting to prepare the seed round, and yeah, no
Very
matter
cool.
from where from the world, a big investor with B2C experience would be great.
Okay, well, Max, thank you so much. Silo, Sylo, available in the App Store to check out. Awesome. Thank you.
In 60 countries. Thank you so much for having me.